Hey everyone, welcome back to the React.js course. So in this video, we'll be implementing how to fetch a data from a particular endpoint and then use that particular data inside of a React application. So if you find this interesting, let's get started right away. So let's understand how can we fetch data from a particular endpoint and then access that data, and then we can use that data inside of our application. So over here inside my app.js, I have the endpoint over here with me. That is, it is stored inside of a URL variable, and inside our app.js, we are returning a simple div with a h2 tag. Okay. So we're going to make use of the fetch method inside JavaScript, and then we're going to access the data that is present inside the endpoint. Okay, so over for that, let us initialize a use effect first. So let's write use effect. It's going to take a function, and inside the use effect, we're going to simply pass a empty dependency array. So this case is that this use effect is going to run only once when the app component loads. So if there is nothing inside the dependency array, this use effect is going to run once the app component loads, and it is going to run every once there is a state update in this particular component. Okay, so let's say we have any other attribute inside our use effect, let's say the number. So whenever this number changes, it's going to run again, that is use effect. Okay, so in our case, it's just going to be an empty dependency array. It's going to run only once the app component loads. Okay, so let's initialize a function over here. Let's say fetch data. Let's make it async function because we are performing async operation. Okay, so async function. Okay, we can make use of await since it's async. So await fetch, and to the fetch we are passing the URL that we have initialized over there, that is the endpoint. And after this has been resolved, that is, this is promise based implementation. So let's write dot then of result. Okay, so for the time being, let's just console.log the result and see what exactly is happening. Okay, so save the file, and then let's come back to our web page. Yeah, so you have simply a div tag with the h2, and then let's check out the console. Okay, nothing is happening. Let's clear the console and then refresh it again. Okay, there might be some problem. Let's see what is that. Oh, okay, I've not called my function over here. You've just initialized that. Okay, so let's call the function right after you have defined it. Okay, so fetch data. So let's see what the result is. Okay, I think there is a network problem. So oh yeah, it is just showing internet disconnected. Let's see what is happening. Okay, so let me just provide the correct connection, and then later we can try it out. Okay, so just a minute. Yeah, so now let's refresh the app. Now you should see whatever is present in the console. Yeah, so as you can see, we have got the response. Okay, so we have the body that is not in the readable form. Okay, we have the headers of this thing, and okay is true, and status is 200. That means we have made connection to the endpoint, and that is we can get the data. Okay, so this is the URL we're using, and then the type is course. Okay, so we are interested in the body part where the entire data lies. So we have to convert it into JSON to view it, because we're using the JSON format. So for that, let's come back to our web page, and over here we're going to say convert it to result.json, and after that we're going to access the data. Okay, and then we're simply going to log it. Okay, so console.log of the data. So in this case, we're going to see whatever the data is present. So let's save the file once, come back to our web page, and there you go, we have a data of 10 elements inside of it. So let's check that out. Yeah, so as you can see, we are able to see each and every data present in the endpoint. Okay, so it is 10, and then we have the address, the company, the name, and then we have the name, phone number, and pretty much all the other sorts of data that is present. So over here we are going to make use of set state, and then we are going to store this particular data inside of state so that we can use it inside of our application if we want. Okay, so just beneath the URL, let's write const data, and then set data equals to use state. So this is going to be an empty array at the initial stage. So where we are consoling the data over here, this point, we are going to say set the data to be this particular data. Okay, so now if I console.log this data, of course this data which we have stored it inside of set state, it's going to be reflected inside our data attribute. Okay, so let's give that a try. So let's write console.log with a message which says store data, and let's simply access the data value. So yeah, pretty much it's going to be the same data. We are simply using the set state and then storing it over there. Yeah, so as you can see, store data, we have the 10 items over here. Okay, so let's say we want to use this particular state and then render the names of it. Okay, so we can give that a try over here. So as you know, we have stored it inside of this data, that is an array, so we can use the map function and map through it. So over here, let's access that data, and then let's write dot map. It's going to take a function and item and index. Okay, let's say we return a div or a h2 tag. Actually, we'll write a div, and inside that we're going to write the h2 tag. Okay, so let's say we just want the name from that data, so let's say item.name. That's the way you access it, and let's give the key to the div. Key equals the index value, right? Yeah, so save the file. You should see all the names coming up on the web page. Let's remove the hello world message, that's not required. Okay, yeah, so as you can see, this is the way we render data by making use of the fetch method and then storing it inside of state, and then by making use of the map function finally. Okay, so this is pretty much the data implementation part by rendering only the names. Okay, so we have made use of a simple use effect and then the fetch method in JavaScript, and then by passing the URL endpoint, and then after the promise has been resolved, we are converting it into JSON first and then accessing our data, and that data we are storing it inside of a use state, as I've already told. And to make use of the implementation that we require, we are making use of the map function, and then we are rendering the item that we require. Okay, so currently we're just rendering the name. So that's the way we have that's the way it's done, that is to fetch the data from a particular endpoint. I think that's it for this video. Let's see you in the next video, and then thank you for watching.